Welcome to African Spiritual Seer, and today we're looking at a very important issue in our country, Kenya. Tunaangalia about the curse of the Mau Mau curse in Kenya and beyond. For many years since the Mau Maus fought for our independence, it seems things have been going backwards in Kenya. It seems like we are making 5 steps forward and 30 steps backwards. And it seems that there's nothing that we as a people, we as Kenyans are doing that seems to be bringing us or has brought us together as a people. Yani hakuna kitu tumefanya. Kila siku ni kulia, kila siku ni kuuana, tuna extrajudicial killings, corruption inaenda juu, wamama wanapata watoto kwa car parks za maternity wards. Unakuta mama wawili wanashare bed moja kwa maternity. Vitu zingine zina happen. You're asking yourself, nini inaendelea? What's going on in our country? Nini inafanyika our home? Because Kenya is our home. Kenya is our motherland. And angalia stories of politics. Look at what's happening today with the issue that hii koti ilisemati this group and that group iko allowed in our country. Why is it that other people who don't look like us, who don't live in Africa or who don't live in our country feel that, what do they feel they have the right to tell us how to live, right? Angalia stories of shule, schools, what's happening in our schools. It's almost, whenever you want to look at mambo iko chaos. It's chaotic, right? And I want to say something that you never hear this from any bishop, any pope, any father, the so-called people who preach to you on Sunday and they tell you about God and all of that. You never hear this from gospel singers. You never hear this from the so-called spiritual people in our country, because this is the truth. I want to say this, and this is a factual, right? We are talking about what we can verify as a people. Kenya was bought with the blood of Mau Maus, of our beloved heroes and heroes, our lovely women, our lovely men who laid down their lives for us, for the little bit that we enjoy today. They made it possible for it to happen. We all know what happened when our Mau Maus were told that the war was over and it was time for them to lay down their weapons and come out and live, to the horror of the men and the women who had spent years in jail, years in the forest, to the horror of the men and women who were raped, who were beaten, who lived with animals, whose children were killed before them, whose parents were killed before them, who had lost their land, they had lost their families, they had lost their children, they had lost their properties, they had lost their life savings. A day came when a thing that they could not even have thought of, they could not even have had dreamt of, but it became a reality for them. When the people who had not fought for a nation called Kenya were given or formed the government. And there's nothing that befits, there's no analogy that befits the story of the Mau Mau. But I'd just like to bring a sense of, for us to know exactly, maybe get close to the World Cup, right? You're in the World Cup, you're in the finals, and you've beaten so many other teams, so many other countries to get to the finals, and then you win the match. So this club, this country has trained so hard for all these years. They've won all these matches, and eventually they've won the last match, and they've now been declared as the World Cup winners. But just before they get the cup, just before they get the medals, another team comes from the other side. Not even the team that was playing. The other team, a group of men, are brought to the pitch, and the winners are told, "Excuse me, guys, yeah, you played and you've won all these matches, you've done all these things, but actually the real winners are these people." I mean, the whole stadium will be chaotic. I mean, no one can accept that. It's unacceptable, right? And we're just talking about a match of football. We're just talking about a pitch. Now, when we talk about the Mau Maus, these are people who had laid down their life. These are people who had they had lost family members. They had lost their comrades. They had lost a lot of people. Walipoteza watu wengi sana. As I'm recording this, my grandparents, I don't usually say they are Mau. We lost a lot of family members. The day came, right? And the people who had not spent a single night in the forest, given the reins of government, they were heshimiwas. They were now the honorable this and that. The traitors, the betrayers, the very people who had caused their deaths and destruction, they were now government. They're now part of government. And since then, we've been living as though nothing happened. As that's the norm. Let's go back to the World Cup, to the analogy of the World Cup. Would anyone allow that to happen? A team that has not played, a team that is unknown, to come and just be given this wonderful trophy, and medals and recognition and sponsorships and money and everything? No, we wouldn't do that. So our lovely men and our noble men, selfless men and women, they were treated worse than us. Even no one treats their dog or their pets the way we treated, or the way they were treated. And the first president and his government, they started life and living and ruling as if the Mau Maus never existed, as if independence just fell from the sky. And And thus, the dream and the aspirations, their dreams, aspirations, and the visions of our country called Kenya sort of died with them. They were subjected to poverty, sicknesses, diseases, death, and mental illness, physical illness. And that's how we as a people, we as a nation thank them. We told them, thank you very much for spending all these years and wasting all these years in the forest, living without food, fighting, being raped, being treated like worse than animals, and losing your children, being betrayed by your family members and your friends and your neighbors. We want to thank you. And how did we thank them? By putting them on the sideline. We told them, now thank you very much. Now you get away from the action being the government. We don't want you anywhere close. You cannot become policymakers. You cannot decide the direction which this nation is to go. And that's where the Mau Mau curse began. Kenya is a cursed nation. We are under a curse. Tulilaniwa na Mau Mau. And Mau Maus are from all the corners of our nation. From all the corners of our nation. The pain they felt is what we are feeling today. The pain they felt. When we see things going bad in our country and we ask ourselves, what's happening? What's happening is what we did to the people who fought for us. That's what's happened. That's what's happening. Watu wanajiuliza kwa nini mambo inaenda hivi Kenya? Kwa nini mambo inaenda hivi Kenya? Ni kwa sababu sisi wenyewe ndio tuliwaambia. Asante sana, kama vile msemo wa Kiswahili sema asante ya mapunda, ya punda ni mateke. We give them our matekes. Tukaambia muende mbali sana. State House si yenyu. Hapana, no. State House is not yours. Parliament si yenyu. Government position si zenyu. Hapana. Nyinyi kaeni huko kwa gishagi huko ushago na poverty yenyu. Mkae huko. Asante sana kwa mambo yale yote mlitufanyia, lakini mtakufa na njaa, hamtakuwa na manyumba, watoto wenyu hataenda shule, hamtakuwa na pesa za kwenda hospitali. You are useless people. That's how we thanked them. People who are depressed, people who had gone through so much, men who had been sodomized, women who had been sodomized. There are women whose children were cut out from their tummies. They saw that. They saw this happening, what all these atrocities happening to their colleagues, to their fellow hero and heroine. Walifanywa hivyo. Alafu tukaambia asanteni sana. So people I've spoken to a lot of people here and there, and they say it's a touchy subject. I'm like, there's nothing touchy about the Mau Mau. It's as clear as night and day. It's black and white, right? There's nothing as it's a touchy subject. It's not touchy. It is touchy because we do not want to handle the truth. And I say this as an African seer. I say this as an African spiritualist. Kenya haitawahi enda mahali. Hatutawahi kufanikiwa until we settle the Mau Maus, and until we as a people. And I'll be telling you what to do. See, I don't just talk about stuff. Let me see a person who just points out at a problem and says, there's a problem, I don't know what to do. No. As African seers, as African spiritualists, we know we have the solutions. We know what to do. Tuko na majibu. Tuko na suluhisho. We have solutions, right? We who are in touch with our ancestors, we who are in touch with our God, the God who encouraged and the God who empowered the Mau Maus. We know what to do. Tunajua. And tuko na suluhisho. But this video is about understanding the foundation for all the problems we have in Kenya. Hakuna shida ingine that can tell you asijui hamjajifunga, you haven't fasted, there's no righteousness, like some crazy people are talking about, we need to be righteous. What are you talking about righteousness? Where were you to talk about righteousness when the Mau Maus were fighting? Where were you when you talk about Jesus when the Mau Maus were fighting? Where were you when you're talking about giving? You're talking about giving. Where were you when they were in the forest fighting? What were they fighting for? They were fighting for us to continue, for us to have to continue living as free people in our God-given land. That's what they were fighting for. They were fighting for our freedoms. All these bishops and religious people who talk about prayers, let's pray, let's go to Uhuru Park and pray. Now they're praying in the State House, right? They're talking about fasting. Everyone is talking about prayer. Our Mau Maus didn't pray. They laid down their lives for us. They were not jokers. All these are jokers. They're people who are joking. Yeah, they're actors. Our Mau Maus were not actors. They laid down their lives for us. They shed their blood for us. There is no blood of a foreign god or messiah that was shed for us in Kenya and in Africa and for black people. But the Mau Maus shed their blood. Their blood flows in the land called Kenya. The blood of black people flows in the continent called Africa. They laid down their blood, their lives. So until the guys who are close to people, and I hope even the leader of our nation hears this, hakuna mahali tunaenda, hakuna mahali tunaenda. We'll be making 5 steps forward and 50 steps backwards. We'll be making 10 steps forward and 100 steps backwards. Why? Until we settle them. We must settle the Mau Mau, the ones who are alive and the ones who have transitioned. We must settle them. Hakuna option. Isi mambo, let's pray in the name of Jesus. No. It's about doing the right thing. It's about we have to ask for their blessings. And spiritually, that's the way it is. Hao ndio wali fight for our nation. They have the spiritual authority to bless us. Ama watu curse. Unfortunately, they didn't bless us because we proved to them after all that they had done for us. We turned around and tukawaambia nyinyi wajinga nyinyi. That's how we tuliwashukuru. And we be asking ourselves, what's happening after elections? This thing happened, that thing happens. We're doing these things about tribalism. Tribalism mefanya nini? Because you need to understand this. The Mau hakukuwa na tribalism kwa Mau. They didn't have that. They didn't have mambo ya gender equality kwa Mau. There were men and women. They didn't have nyinyi tutakuwa tunakula nyama na nyinyi mnameza mate. No, they ate together what was there. They shared what was there. The cake belonged to everybody. Theirs was a blueprint that would have brought heavenly blessings to our nation, but we rejected them. The very people that gave their lives for. So lazima sisi wote we have to come together as a nation and we have to put things right. We have to go back to them and we have to treat them right. Hakuna option. And I would like you, my listener, to ask the spiritual people around whether what I'm saying is the truth or not. I would like you to ask, leave this religious spiritual people. Hakuna mambo ya spirituality wanajua. No. Go to old African people, African spiritual people, African spiritualists, and ask them. We had this guy saying this and that about Mau. Ni kweli? And they'll tell them. They'll tell you watawaambia. This is straight from them. The ones who are gone na wale wako. Baraka zetu zote za inchi haziko kwa kanisa. Baraka zetu zote za inchi haziko kwa maombi. Haziko kwa, I don't know, this spiritual mother or spiritual father. Hapana. Baraka zetu zote za inchi ya Kenya ziko na Mau. Ziko na mashujaa wetu. Just like the blessings of children. They're in the hands of the parent. They are our parents. They are our spiritual mothers and fathers. We don't have one single spiritual mother and father. The Mau are the first family. They are the first family that we are told this is the first family of this nation. That was fake. It's drama. Hizo ni za sarakasi. They are our first family, right? They are our first family. So hiyo ndio shida inatukula Kenya. Hakuna kitu ingine. If you speak to the Mau that are alive and you ask them about watakwambia, right? Hii mambo ya tribalism, mambo sijui ya nini, mambo ya corruption ni kwa sababu hawajatubariki and lazima tubarikiwe na hao. Na as I'm saying, and I'll be telling you what to do. Nitakuwa nawaambia vile tutafanya. In the next clip, I'll talk about video. Nitaongea I'll talk about what we need to do as people, right? Now this thing see government peke yake kwa sababu people always talk about the government they're not doing this. This president is not doing this. No. This is ni kitu inaitwa collective effort. So, my brothers and sisters, our Kenya mali important mpo. Hiyo ndio shida yetu. That's our spiritual stronghold, right? Our spiritual stronghold. Tukisha fanya vile tunafaa kufanya by recognizing them, by putting them in their place, by righting the wrongs. Na wale ambao wako na wale ambao walituacha lakini bado wako na sisi. African spirituality hakuna mtu anakufa. No. Death when we talk about someone died. These are Western concepts. Our African spirituality, we talk about transition. So the person is not here, though they are not here with us in the physical form, they are with us spiritually, and they will always be with us. So you tune into the next video. I'll be talking about how we as a people or what we need to do, because the first steps is to know shida iko wapi, because a lot of people have been running all over the place. Tuombe this lady and that lady, let's tuombe. Unaombea nini? What are you praying for? What are you praying for? If someone who prayed for who fought for this nation lost 10 acres of land na hajairudishiwa, what are you talking about? What are you talking about if a woman spent all their years in the forest fighting for this nation na ana chakula? What are you talking about? What are you praying for? What are you fasting for? All these titles za watu wanajipatia, honorable this and honorable that. Our Mau are the most honorable people, for real. Wacha mchezo, for real. When you talk about excellency, they're the most excellent of human beings because they did what none of us will ever do or even get close to doing. So they're the most excellent, not just one, they're the most excellent. Tuna kazi ya kufanya na ile kazi ile tunafaa tufanye, it involves all of us. Wale watu wako Kenya na wale watu ambao hawako Kenya. Ndio hii laana ya Mau tuondoke, iondoke kwa taifa letu, kwa sababu kuna laana mbaya sana kwa sababu walikasirika sana na wakatulaani walipokuwa nakufa, walipokuwa wanahangaika na magonjwa, wanahangaika na kuuawa. Wengi wao walipigwa marisasi na the first government. Walipokuwa nakufa na uchungu, wakalaani ardhi ambayo walikuwa wanaipigania, na walilaani kwa sababu ya ile uchungu walisikia, kwa sababu they never fought to be treated in that manner, and And we who are alive today, our responsibility is to reverse that curse. Lazima tuchukue hiyo laana, tuifanye baraka. But we can only do that by doing what is right. What is right? Our actions towards the ones, wale wako na wale ambao waliondoka. So, wacha kazi iendelee na kazi ianze. Na what I'll say is, Wakenya tafadhali, listen to the spiritual leaders ambao who are connected to your ancestors. Lazima usikize vile ambao our ancestors wanasema. Listen to the spirit, right? Listen to the voice, the collective voice of the ones that fought for our freedoms, the freedoms that we enjoy today. Till next time, wacha kazi ianze. Asante.